6. I sucked in a breath. A boy, perhaps a year or two older than I was, sat perched on the ledge, looking down at me from his high vantage point. I averted my gaze and pretended not to notice him, while my heartbeat quickened in my chest. It wasn't uncommon for safety patrols to wear plain clothes, to catch unsuspecting citizens unawares. Had Ito already sent someone on my tail? Or maybe Johnson and Rogers had ordered him to keep an eye on me. I blinked and chanced another glance up at him, but he was gone. Unease settled over me. Had he gone to get the patrols to take me away? I leapt to my feet and hurried back toward Market Square. The shopkeepers were winding down. Shuffling around their stalls, they closed their shutters and packed up for the night. There'd be no more business here after the patrol's inspections. I clambered up on one of the outermost stalls and curled up in a small recess between it and the adjacent building. It wasn't what I'd call someplace safe, but what choice did I have? Pulling a scrap of taupe cloth over me, I settled in for the night, falling into a shallow sleep filled with swimming images of shiny white guns, red-stained snow, and boys with hazel eyes. I awoke before dawn to a sharp prickling in my wrist. Residue from my death day, no doubt. Hopping off the stall, I took in my surroundings. There wasn't a soul in sight. It was too early for the merchants to open their wares. It was the perfect time to sneak away in the pre-dawn darkness toward the edge. Just like Mom wanted. A small smile curled my lips, which were now chapped from the cold. I crept in and out of shadow through my trusty alleyways and back streets. I skirted next to the ancient structure that resembled a huge reflective bean, the fallen pavilion, and the vast layered fountain with rusted green mythical creatures that had sat dry for decades. The lake, as large as it was deadly, shimmered in the east. Even Millennium had a dodgy side. I passed through Loop Sector, which was mostly residential, and then headed south. Finally, I reached the outskirts of the city and paused in the shadows of a run-down, disintegrating house in front of the large concrete field separating me from the edge. Weeds grew through the cracked concrete and wound themselves around several warning signs that had fallen into heavy disrepair. The trefoil associated with high levels of ionizing radiation. Danger, keep out. I wondered how accurate the stories the GA fed us were, about the irradiated creatures that roamed the woods and the badlands beyond the city's borders. Before yesterday, I might have still believed them and turned back. But if the GA had lied about death days, what else had they lied about? A rustle sounded to my left. I swear, if I heard another rustle, I froze, straining my ears, backing further into the shadows and fingering the dagger in my pocket. There it was again, that sound. I peeked out from behind the house and nearly cut my hand on the knife as I stumbled backward. It was the boy with the hazel eyes. And he was carrying a shiny white safety patrol gun. My heart jumped to my throat. I was right, he was a plainclothes patrol. He was heading across the concrete field, toward the edge and the forest beyond. Was the pre-dawn light playing tricks on me? I blinked several times, but no, he was still there, strolling across the concrete as if it was his own back garden. What business would a safety patrol have beyond the edge? I shuddered, his presence unnerved me. I had to make sure he wasn't tracking me. The only way to do that? Track him. I waited for the mysterious boy to disappear across the tree line before meandering through the field, careful to step over the overgrown patches of weeds and not slip on the frozen snow. I entered the woods several feet to the right of the boy, in case he was still there. The trees were bare this time of year and offered little in the way of protection from prying eyes. Still, as soon as I set foot in the forest, my heartbeat slowed and my muscles relaxed. Why didn't I spend more time in nature growing up? Why did I wait until after my death day to experience the sweet serenity of the trees? Was the forest the place where I could be truly safe? I didn't have much time to dwell on this, though. A sudden movement in the evergreen bushes to my left was all it took for my instincts to kick in. I didn't hesitate. I leapt up and over a fallen log, kicked back off its trunk, and landed squarely behind my stalker, putting my knife to his throat. The boy's muscles tensed beneath my arm. He was much bigger than me, but I held fast. Drop the gun, I hissed in his ear. Whoa, whoa, whoa. All right, easy there. The boy raised the hand carrying the gun up and away from his body, then lowered himself and dropped it to the ground. It clinked against the frozen earth. "Who are you?" I demanded, keeping my knife firmly in place. "I'm Ian." "Who are you?" "I'm the one asking the questions here." "Are you a patrol?" Ian snorted. "Do I look like one?" "You've got the gun." "Yeah, I do. It's a long story." "Why are you going past the edge?" Ian shifted slightly and I tightened my grip on the knife. "Why are you?" I said, "I'm the one asking the questions." All right. But do you mind? This is kind of uncomfortable." He pointed to my knife. After a moment's hesitation, I relaxed my grip and withdrew the dagger. Ian rubbed his neck, a grin playing on his lips. "Phew, that was close. Watch it." I pointed the knife at him again. Our eyes locked for a moment, and I quickly looked away, fighting my blush. He was handsome up close, but this wasn't the time to lose my focus. "Easy there. So, what are you doing past the edge?" "What did I say about the questions?" Ian raised his hands over his head. "Ask away then. What are you doing past the edge?" "Morning nature walk, can't you tell?" I jabbed my dagger in his direction. "The truth." "Nothing but the truth." Ian grinned. "What about you?" I hesitated, settling on a vague version of the truth. "I was told to come here." Ian's eyebrows shot up. "You were told to come here?" He lowered his voice and glanced behind him. "By whom?" "It doesn't matter." "No, listen, you don't understand." Ian hesitated. "I was told to come here too. Many years ago." "So what?" "People go beyond the edge all the time." "No, they didn't." "They don't, and you know it." My stomach clenched. "Who told you to come here?" "A man. I didn't know his name." "A likely story," I scoffed. "Nothing but the truth." "Prove it." Ian bit his lower lip. After a moment, he pulled the left sleeve of his jacket up to reveal his wrist. Thin scars crisscrossed where his death day used to be. "Look closer." I squinted, and I could just make out his death day under the scar tissue. It was a pale gray, just visible in the early morning light. September 8, 2220. A shiver passed through me. I rubbed my wrist and glanced down at my own death day. December 13th, 2225. Yesterday's date. 5 full years later.